Nuclear energy in terms of overall safety record is better than any other energy. A quote from Bill Gates, which is what we're going to be discussing today. The validity of nuclear energy by debunking three main misconceptions about it. The first, that nuclear power plants are unsafe. The second, that nuclear energy is dirty. And the third, that there is no solution to the vast amounts of nuclear waste that these facilities produce. Let's tackle the first misconception. Nuclear power is actually the safest form of energy. No members of the public have ever been killed or injured in the entire 50-year history of nuclear power plants inside the United States, according to the Argonne National Laboratory. Now, the reason why people are afraid of nuclear power plants is because of the Chernobyl disaster. Well, a Chernobyl-like disaster could never occur anywhere outside of the Soviet Union. And that's because those types of reactors were never built in the US. In fact, it is physically impossible for a US reactor to explode like a nuclear bomb does because nuclear weapons have way more uranium in them than the nuclear reactors themselves. Now, nuclear power plants in the US also have so many safety measures and automatic shutdown capabilities that make it impossible for someone to intentionally or unintentionally turn the reactor into a bomb, according to Duke Energy. So nuclear power plants won't blow up. But what about the energy they produce? Well, that takes us to our second misconception that nuclear energy is dirty. Well, actually, nuclear energy is one of the cleanest sources of energy in the US, emitting no greenhouse gases. In fact, it is the only carbon free source that operates around the clock without refueling for a year and a half to 2 years without burning anything, according to the Office of Nuclear Energy. Now, the splitting or fission of a uranium atom occurs in a safe containment building that is separate from the cooling towers. Now, the cooling towers do produce a plume of white smoke. However, this smoke is merely water vapor with no pollutants in it whatsoever. It's perfectly safe for these fumes to go into the air. It's just water. Now, what about the fact that there is no solution to nuclear waste? Well, actually, the amount of nuclear waste that was produced in the past 50 years is enough to cover an area the size of a football field and a depth of about less than 10 yards. Now, 96% of nuclear waste can be recycled. And where we store this nuclear waste is inside of these large storage tanks. And a person can stand near these, they can hug it, they can kiss it, they can eat their lunch next to these storage tanks without any harm coming to them whatsoever. So you won't grow a second head, you won't have 3 or 4 arms all of a sudden. You'll be perfectly safe. Now, in the field of science and engineering, there is always new and more efficient ways of doing things. Now, right now, there are in the works a new and inventive advanced reactor that is planned to begin construction in the year 2030. Now, these reactors will produce even less nuclear waste than the reactors that we have today, according to Adriana Galindo of the International Atomic Energy Agency, a department of the UN. So, all in all, nuclear power plants are the safest places. They're more safe than an office building. They're more safe than fast food restaurants. They're more safe than grocery stores, even. And nuclear energy is one of the cleanest energies that we can produce. And we do have solutions to these vast amounts of nuclear waste that these facilities produce. In fact, I wouldn't even call it vast. It's really not that much in the grand scheme of things. So, in conclusion, I hope that by debunking these misconceptions, I might have persuaded you to the idea that nuclear energy is a valid, safe, and most of all, efficient alternative to the carbon based energy sources like coal power plants that are pretty common, more common than nuclear power plants. Thank you